All right, so we're back jumping into the metaverse, and of course, today is no different. We're going to dive into a project called Supremacy. And as we look at crypto gaming and kind of the evolution of what's happening in blockchain, one of the things that I think a lot of our viewers, and also I think just in general, the crypto curious are looking at is kind of the evolution of game economy, how games are structured, and then the aspect of design and theming. All of this is playing into what blockchain gaming is really becoming, and it's quite special. Today, we're going to dive in with two founders and get into it. So welcome back into the metaverse. Let's get into it today. Let's talk to Alex Dunmow and also John Nguyen, who is the Chief Technology Officer over at Ninja Syndicate, also known as Supremacy. So guys, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having us, Paul.
All right, so John, let's start with you first and kind of give me your background a little bit, what you do with the team there at Ninja Syndicate, obviously Supremacy. Kind of give me your 101 there.
Yeah, so I'm the CTO, Chief Technology Officer of Ninja Syndicate. Just a quick history of myself. I'm a crypto native. I've been in the space for about 9 years now. So before Mt. Gox collapsed, before Ethereum was a thing, I was an engineer deployed in West Africa, and I was basically trading Bitcoin for malaria tablets back in the day. Anyway, over time, I've always been in the crypto space and founded a software company. Alex can probably talk more to that. But my focus today in Ninja Syndicate is mostly on the technical stuff. So architecture, scalability, and making sure everything fits and performs the way it should. And also outside of that, we've got the Web3 stuff, so smart contract development, and audits, handling the audits, and all that kind of good stuff. And now with Supremacy, kind of bringing in my personal hobbies, so video games, and kind of wrapping it into what we can do with all the blockchain tech as well.
Yeah, it's fun to, I think, jump into passion that leads to business, because it's, I think most people, then you like going to work. It's, the advantages are really great there. John, I'd like to go further on you, and I have a lot of questions around the tech stack and kind of how things go from that aspect. Alex, as the CEO of Ninja Syndicate, kind of tell, how did you guys two meet? I mean, was this something because of proximity? Was it something that you knew each other from a previous past? How did all this come together?
It's actually a fun story. So before we became the leadership of Ninja Syndicate, we were actually programmers ourselves, and I was doing some consulting and working for myself and trying to build my own startup. And I'd started using a programming language called Go, which is created by Google, and it was fairly new at the time. And so I was kind of sick of doing it alone. So I started a meetup, and everyone here in our city thought it was John who created it, because he was the biggest evangelist for this programming language. When we finally met at the meetup, it turned out that upstairs from the office I was renting, he was where he worked. So it was definitely a proximity coincidence there. And the software development company that John was working for at the time was actually on their way out. So and we got some opportunities that we basically became the start of our software development company. So it was kind of almost fate. Like, we met at the right time, the right opportunities landed in our lap, and that proximity coincidence.
Yeah, the reason I always ask that is when you see founders and leaders within, especially in the crypto gaming sector, if there's some synergies there that kind of help you understand how the two've connected. One, I think it gives not only investors, but also people, even gamers that are interested in maybe getting active in a particular project, it just feels so much more connected to kind of feel the homegrownness of projects. Especially at this stage, when you guys are really kind of exploding. Let's get into all of this in terms of and either one of you can kind of take this as a lead, but I'm curious on what makes Supremacy really kind of unique and different. I have a bunch of notes here about how you guys are kind of challenging the gaming sector in some very different and unique ways, but I would love to hear your premise of how you wanted to build the game, also kind of the overall project in really making it different for gamers. Maybe you could kind of pick that up, John.
Yeah, so in 2017 there was the big ICO mania, but around that time we had CryptoKitties come out, which is kind of the first, not really the first NFTs, but the first properly popular ones. And I can't remember what it was, Alex, probably about 2 years ago. I was having a big spat about how do you add values to NFTs? Like, are these cats really worth 5-10 Ethereum because they were just first? We kind of worked backwards from there. So we basically we try to extrapolate these kind of digital assets. So we have this amazing technology that people are using to make pictures of cats. Now, cats are cool and they're cute and stuff, but what if we can create something that people would actually be able to use and add value? This is before the metaverse stuff, the terminology really came about. This is several years ago. But the concept was NFTs are ownership of a digital asset, and we wanted to create something. We need to create a world that needed it as a product, and this thing we've created, Supremacy, the assets inside it do have value. They can be used inside our world, and the only way to have an NFT that has value is to create an entire economy that needs it. So the thing that we've built is like a full economy with its own imports and exports, its own goods and services, all that kind of stuff that an asset needs to even survive. And from there, we just kept on growing the idea and kind of solidifying it over the past couple of years.
Alex, let's jump to that, because this is something that it's important. I know when we research games, obviously understanding the economies that kind of drive the games themselves, but obviously also attract players. And we've seen this with AAA studios and what we've seen in projects like Fortnite and all of where that has gone and the explosion that we've seen in the gaming community. With crypto and blockchain gaming, it's a little bit different. Obviously now we're playing with real money in most cases, or digital assets that are worth real money. How do you guys put together the economy itself within the game structure of what you're building?
So we've actually built a full economy simulation. So there are raw resources. There's resource trading. There's marketplaces. There's like cooperation between in-game syndicates or guilds.
Right.
That was one of the important things for us at the start. I mean, there's a fully simulated stock exchange for these syndicates. There's they can employ people within our metaverse. We kind of took a leaf out of EVE Online, which I think not on purpose, but it grew this full game economy. The other thing we did was we put a lot of thought to why would any of that be fun? And generally, it's like, from a gaming perspective, it's to fuel a war effort. And then you ask the question, well, why would you go to war? And it would be for resources as well. So the war part of Supremacy, which is the mechs fighting a constant 24-hour battle that our players actually watch on a stream. That is the impetus behind why you would want to build factories, to build weapons and trade NFTs and participate in the economy. So it's essentially a circular economy where you put resources into this war, into this battle over property and resources and other syndicates like areas, and use that to fund more production. You can see the mechs there in our preview.
Right.
So that's to us is the interesting part, and especially from a crypto perspective.
Sure. I think, and the cool thing about this, and I'm also always curious about how the evolution of games start And in terms of the storyline for what you guys were trying to create here, I was just kind of diving into the game, really understanding kind of the mechanics behind it. This is very cinematic, or has a feel that's much like a motion picture that you're trying to create within the game construct itself. How did you guys do that? Was that something that was done internally? Was that something that you hired some creative writers? What was the process of really getting behind the creative behind the game?
So all of that is the game engine. So none of it is CGI. That's all Unreal Engine, which is what we use for Supremacy. All of the animations and effects you see, they're actually in-game animations and effects. None of it's kind of rigged just for these videos. It was important to us. I think the very first trailer we made way at the beginning, that was CGI. We got that done in Maya kind of thing. But after that, it was very important to us that what we displayed, while it's scripted, it's still how our game actually looks.
Right.
The mechs you see in it are the real mechs and skins in the game itself. And we have some really talented Unreal developers and artists who use Unreal Engine. So it just made sense that we did it in-house.
Very cool. I like that when we see this much advancements on a project like this, especially from the design theme, but also from an economy standpoint, and then you get into the aspect of the storytelling behind these great games. Because I think that, of course, creates a playable project. It's also one that creates somewhat of an addictive nature that keeps people coming back. And of course, those are the kind of games that really become very viral out there. So I think you guys have something going there.
What you're talking about there is something we're already seeing, even with the small phase 1 that we've released, where we're seeing our communities join syndicates, and they're coming up with like their own slang, about in-game activities.
Right.
That's really cool to see.
Yeah, and what we really wanted to see is player emergent gameplay. So, like EVE Online that Alex mentioned earlier, players drive the story. They create their own lore. They come together, and I just found out there's like top secret splinter groups that devise strategies so that other groups can't find out what the strategies are. They develop their own acronyms, their own slang. This is the kind of stuff that we've been trying to build. It's emergent. The players are driving it forward, and it's really cool to see.
I wanted to talk a little bit about the NFT architecture within the game itself. I'll jump over to OpenSea real quick just to kind of take a quick look. There's the Supremacy Genesis. Obviously, these are the mechs that you're talking about in terms of creativity around these on the design. And then you go over into the Metaverse game achievements. Again, talk me through, I'm kind of really curious in the achievement side of things. How does a player, give me some examples of how players can start to achieve some of these digital assets. What are some of the core quests, so to speak, or the process in which I can obtain these?
So these actually came from our whitelist game. To get into our NFT whitelist, you had to play a text adventure, much akin to like late 80s, early 90s text adventures. And we used these games to expose our players into the lore of Supremacy. And they essentially like a choose your own adventure. So they would have to pick their pathway, and if they survived, they got a key to enter the whitelist. And it was actually quite difficult to survive, but when you survived, you were able to mint an NFT, and that's what you're seeing there. And the fun thing about that is those keys will give players forever access to like early access sales and whitelist sales. So those keys now actually have a bit of value, which was really exciting to see.
I think those are the kind of, that's one of the things that is so unique and different to me when you look at just blockchain gaming in general, how the communities are being built, and then how the whole process of rewarding the communities, being able to do things like this, airdrops, et cetera, all these different types of tactics that are being utilized in blockchain gaming that really are creating a different kind of dynamic around the gamer itself. And I've got a lot of questions around where you guys see the future of and where maybe the future gamers are going to come from, because there's a lot of demographic talk that we've been kind of exploring here on the show. Before we get into that, when you look at just game development in general, and let's just say project development across all of crypto, because we see this in DeFi, we see this in utility aspects of certain types of projects, but gaming seems to be one of the most difficult ones, especially from a cryptocurrency or a crypto or blockchain aspect. And what I mean by that is there's a lot of projects out there that are claiming and maybe putting within a roadmap a lot of potential opportunity, but they're not necessarily delivering on those kinds of things. Your thoughts on how you guys go about that process, because this is one of the big problems in crypto gaming I think that we are going to face very soon.
Yeah, it's I think there's a lot of kind of issues here on this topic. I think one of them is that a lot of these projects are not founded by technical people,
Right.
and they're probably from a finance background or something like that, and they underestimate how difficult it is to hire good talent, and it is quite difficult and can be expensive. They also, I think, are just naive to video game development, and they underestimate how long these project timelines can be. The more ambitious you are, the longer it's going to take. And when you're kind of promising a AAA game to the crypto community, people have to realize that the big companies, the big publishers and developers that have been doing it for years, they take 5 to 10 years to release one of these games. So I think there's a disconnect between expectation and ability to execute.
Yeah, I think your statement, I was reading in one of the pre-shows there on this, Alex, and it was like creation is an act of sheer will. I mean, you are talking about, especially something like this, you really have to put a lot of elbow grease into to really develop something pretty amazing. So I see that as being cool. And I think this is also
that's actually a quote from Dr. John Hammond from Jurassic Park.
Jurassic Park, yeah. Absolutely. Which is I think it's very fitting for what the crypto gaming community is facing right now, because I think we're going to see a little bit of a sweep out over the next maybe 18 months. Right now, there's a lot of money grab going on. We have a lot of projects that VCs are throwing money into that maybe are just kind of spitballing funding, because this is exactly what happened in the .com era or .bomb era, when you saw so many VCs just giving pretty much any project out there that had a heartbeat money. And what happened was there obviously was a big correction, but from the ashes of that era in time rose a handful of phoenixes that became pretty amazing companies that really kind of forged what really was the future of technology. And I think that's where we are with Web3 and blockchain gaming. So it's going to be fun to watch companies like yours and projects like what you guys have going out there kind of move into that next level. Let's talk about that, and that is the process of being able to sustain development, because you're mentioning, John, Alex, both of you are talking about great developers, great game economists, designers, artists. This takes a lot of money. What is your strategy of being able to scale this in the future? Either one of you can kind of jump in.
So for us at this stage in our timeline, it's a multi-pronged thing. We've bootstrapped a lot of this ourselves, like leading up to the end of last year, and then we pre-sold, like tokens, and then at the start of this year we pre-sold some more tokens. Well, not pre-sold, we sold tokens. We were also just like a traditional software company, we are talking to equity investors and these kinds of things.
Right.
But ultimately, the model is actually a sustainable product that generates its own revenue. But like you said, these are expensive projects, and we have a team of 30 concept artists, 20 developers, and then you have like marketing on top of that, and you have all the other admin pieces around it. It's not a to do it right. It's not a simple or cheap activity.
Yeah.
But if you actually deliver on your promises, you can absolutely generate revenue and create a sustainable product that will fund itself for several years easily.
Yeah.
This
Well,
is
I
an
think that's the.
interesting difference
Yeah, go ahead.
from
Go ahead and
the
hit on that.
yeah, sorry. This is the interesting difference from the DeFi space actually, because
Mhm.
so DeFi is actually my focus in the past, and you see a lot of I think Uniswap was a great example. They had these cool metrics where the number of employees and how much revenue goes through the system is incredible. It's like, you know, orders of magnitudes higher than any other financial company in the world.
Right.
You can have 3 dudes in a basement code out some smart contracts that actually implements a money market or a swap protocol, or a NFT fractionator. It's super efficient, and these guys have to present their product to the world via a website or a DApp.
Exactly.
Gaming doesn't work that way. Gaming requires a lot more creative talent, uh, and I include programmers in that creative talent as well.
Sure.
You have, like Alex said, 3D modelers, artists, musicians, sound Foley artists. You got devs, you got game devs. There's just this huge crew of different departments to create this product that's unified into this deliverable that people have done nothing for the past 10 years but see very, very, very polished versions
Mhm.
of it. So now you got a huge group of gamers who have seen incredible games for their entire lives, and now you've got these crypto guys trying to build games who just realize that it's nothing like DeFi. It's
Yeah.
you gotta build a company, you gotta staff it, and you gotta deal with all the problems that come with that. Not to say it's the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying that I find that it could be a bit surprising to some crypto experienced veterans when they jump into crypto gaming as well.
Yeah, well, I think you hit on something that, our show tries to do, and that is kind of weed out the chaff of the industry, because there's a lot of projects out there that probably don't deserve the kind of notoriety and also the potential of what really just taking up air in the space is the way I reference it, because we are at a very critical time in building blockchain. It's critical because one, we're getting ready to see mass adoption. I truly believe we're going to see mass adoption coming in, both from the gaming community, but also from new finance and new investors that become gamers or become casual gamers that really understand the play and earn focus. And I think we're going to have maybe a little bit of rope here before we hang ourselves on this, because if we have too many of these projects that get out there in the open that end up being, either just terrible project rollouts or, just crappy games, it just puts a bad mark on the industry. And I think that's what we're facing right now. It's a very narrow, fine line we're walking on right now, for sure.
That was
actually
quite disappointing,
think,
actually.
Yeah.
Sorry, Alex, I'm gonna jump into this one.
I've
I've gone out and tried all the crypto games, and a lot of them are quite disappointing. I got to say the least. And
at least
I
they're the
wish-
ones you could actually try.
Yeah, if you can actually play them, sure, yeah.
And that was sad, but it's just a lot of hard work. And like you say, it's a critical point. It's this pivotal moment where like some amazing things will come out. Animoca, Axie Infinity, and all that have proven the model, and now people are hunting for the next thing, because you've got the tokenomics is very difficult to get right. You get it slightly wrong, and you make people angry. You make a small subset angry that don't make enough money,
Right.
or the economy just flips over and someone dumps. There's whales. There's just like all these new forces, these free market forces that traditional games don't have to deal with. It's a fun problem, but it's also pretty scary. It's a new land that we have to explore.
Yeah. Alex, I want to jump in. I want to kind of get into this last section here, and that is roadmap as you look forward. The gameplay aspect of Supremacy, what you guys have done in terms of just the visual, the graphics, the economy, the potential there for these somewhat multiverses to kind of coexist within the game structure itself. What other plans do you have within the game itself to really kind of entice players to come in, one, and two, stay around and become experts at playing this game? What are some of the key things you're trying to achieve?
So I mentioned the full economic simulation before, where people will run their own syndicates and engage in economic activity and like player versus player activity.
Right.
That's a big part of it. We have, due to that like metaverse nature, we are able to like plug different game like mechanisms and engines even into this economy, which means we can really target lots of different types of gamers, and that's been a really important part of this development right from the start, and that's why we feel comfortable calling it a metaverse,
Right.
because to us that's what that's all about. It's about being able to bring your assets across different like different entities. And so the supremacy law and the supremacy economy that we're creating, it's not just going to be limited to the like even just the small pieces that we've released now, and the bigger pieces that are coming in the future. There'll be other like other game development companies that we were looking at, like actually plugging into this world and creating a bigger thing than just a game you kind of play every now and then.
Right.
And
I think
one
that's
of the
going to be a
things,
big player for sure. A big play into the future of how those things become interconnected.
And it's interesting you talk about projects that are kind of over-promising and under-delivering. I love the ability for these NFT type NFT games to essentially say to everyone who maybe bought their assets, well, hey, you can bring them over here and import them into our game, and in our game they'll represent this. So you can easily kind of capture another community by offering them value that maybe they didn't get from the the project they originally backed. And that's something we're definitely planning to do in the future.
Interesting. Feels like you're picking up space junk.
Yeah, exactly.
You pick up space junk, you draw it in. Feels like Star Wars, like 101. I mean, you just, the random projects that didn't make it, but people own these NFTs out there that they've got value in, and you put them to work, like droids in the ecosystem.
And ultimately, what we want is, it's like you do it because another player needs you to do it. You provide this good or service not because the game developers built this world this way. It's because that guy over there, a real person, needs your help, and he will pay you in that world's currency to do it. And that's when you start getting this emergent gameplay, and you start building literally a virtual GDP of a new country, where you have imports and exports, and you have goods and services flying all around. And that's to us what the metaverse is.
Yeah, for sure. Excellent stuff. I know you guys, it sounds like you guys have a lot planned in the future. I am very excited about looking at Supremacy as you guys roll out more and more gameplay and really kind of the evolution of this, because I think what you're onto in terms of kind of this exploding universe of within these games, really kind of creating economies, creating new fractals of how a game can be played. If the framework can really do it, that will be the key. I think the games that are able to do that, huge, definitely huge. But anyway, it's been great having both of you on the show today. Thank you so much. We'll definitely drop some links in the description below so you guys can learn a lot more about Supremacy, really understand the whole overall project, and really kind of take a look and a deep dive on what they're doing out there. But thanks again, guys, for stopping in. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us. Thanks, Paul.
You bet. All right, so you guys are tuned in over on the podcast right now. Thanks again for that. You can catch Metaverse Insider on Spotify, iTunes. That's our audio version of this show. But the best place to really catch all these graphics, these great game renditions that we're pulling out within this show. And then, of course, the chance to really kind of see these founders really come to life on screen is right here on the YouTube channel. And all you have to do is search Paul Barron Network. You'll find this show and, of course, Tech Path Crypto, which is where we dive into a lot more of the traditional technology and blockchain around crypto in general. Make sure and check both those shows out. Of course, leave your comments below on any topics or projects you'd like to see coming into Metaverse Insider. Of course, you can reach me out on Twitter. It's @Paul Barron. We'll catch you next time right here on Metaverse Insider.